Scott Duncan here with Gavin Densmore, the CEO of At-Home Eldercare, and I've been looking for my own business. So I'm seriously exploring the idea of purchasing a franchise. We've gone through some of the process, but I've got some questions for Gavin. And so we're going to go through that today and hopefully answer some of your questions as well. So Gavin, thanks for stopping by.
Well, thank you for coming in, Scott. It's great to have you in for Discovery Day, and I've enjoyed our conversations today, and it's awesome putting a name to a face.
Sure,
in person.
Thank you. Well, let's start with the first obvious question. Why should I start my own business?
As
opposed to getting a job like I've had in the past.
I think everybody needs to work for someone else. I think everybody needs to go to school on somebody else's nickel.
Right.
I graduated when I was 19 with a degree, founded my first business about 15 years later, ballpark. So I worked for somebody for the better part of about 15 years. I got a lot of polish, I got a lot of training, I got a lot of mentoring, I got a lot of coaching. But there came a point in my career, and candidly, I was in between jobs. The software company that I'd been working for basically went belly up. And I was in between jobs, and I thought, I'm just tired of selling software. And then maybe it's time that I start my own business. And I've never looked back on it, Scott. And I think with a proper amount of coaching and mentoring, you can be as successful as you want to be. The older we get, I'm 56 years old.
As am I.
Okay. We are quickly kind of coming into the unemployable age where, in fact, I read an article on the Wall Street Journal, and then I thought, well, this is great. I need to shoot a video on it. Posted it up on YouTube. I call them unemployables. And the fact that once you kind of hit your early 50s to mid 50s, employers are looking at you going, you might be great, but you're a huge liability. Why shouldn't I hire this, 30-something kid that can, is going to be around 20 years and it's going to cost me an arm and a leg from an insurance perspective,
right?
A benefits perspective, or payroll perspective. So you will never have to answer anyone other than yourself if you own your own business.
And you also get the chance to try your own ideas without having to run them through someone else's filter.
Yeah, and be candid, I'm a franchisor. A huge part of the benefit of buying into a franchise organization versus you doing any business on your own is the fact that you do have the support and you do have the mentoring and you do have the coaching to make sure that you're successful.
Well, that leads into the next question. So, why should I buy a franchise as opposed to going out and just starting, Scott Duncan Senior Home Care Inc.?
Because I've been there and done that.
Sure.
And my first home care agency I owned for 18 years, I didn't have a support network. I was every day was brand new because I was figuring it out all on my own.
Right.
And our franchise fee is $45,000.
Which will get into all the costs later.
Yeah. But I probably made $120,000 worth of mistakes.
Yeah.
I did, and you don't know what you don't know. And back then, there weren't a great deal of senior care franchisors out there. And so why buy a franchise? Because you're buying a business model that is proven, it's replicatable, and
like you said, you've already made all the mistakes.
I've got 18 years of successes owning a home care agency, and I've got 18 years of lumps on the head and failures. And we teach not only 18 years of success, but 18 years of mistakes that you don't want to make.
Right.
So
exactly.
I think the reason that you buy into a franchise, a huge part of it is the support.
Support and training and
the support and the training, and instead of taking a couple of years to get up to speed, we can take you from 0 to 60 in a matter of months, and we can have you in business, and we have your first customer. Your policies and procedures, your operations, your technology platform, all of that is brought to you and handed to you on a silver platter. So, do you want to reinvent the wheel? Because that's you buying or establishing your own business. You literally are reinventing the wheel every day.
Right, exactly. Well, a radio host I used to listen to late nights, a guy who talked about business and debt and things like that. His name was Bruce Williams. And one of his big things about starting a business was go find the thing that works and do that.
And Bruce was, in essence, it sounds like promoting the franchise concept. It's proven, it works. If you follow the model, Scott, we can make you successful.
Absolutely. So let's boil it down a little bit more. Franchise is a good idea, but why the senior care business?
Well, I'm biased. Understand,
Sure.
Right up front.
Absolutely.
20 years in this industry. 1 in 5 individuals in the United States are going to be 65 and older in the next 4 years. 4 years from now, which is 2025, 1 in 5 individuals will be 65 and over. That is 20%. That is a majority of the individuals in this country are going to be seniors at that point, 65 and over.
So there's a market.
Oh heavens, there's a built-in market. I call it the silver tsunami.
Yes.
And if you know anything about wave motion, and I'm certainly not a hydrologist, but out of the ocean it's flat. You can have an earthquake, underwater landslide that creates a tsunami, and only until it gets close to shore. Once it gets close to shore, does the wave start cresting and cresting. Man, I tell you, Scott, we're on the cusp of that wave in the United States.
And that next 4 years is going to be that wave.
It's going to wash over the whole U.S.
Yeah.
And
recent events.
You've got a built-in market.
Sure. And recent events, people are less trusting, I'm of course talking about COVID, less trusting of the care facilities in some cases.
Absolutely. I was on a call earlier today. Back on my desk, I have an article out of the Wall Street Journal, and I read the Wall Street Journal daily. And it's got some great ideas in it. And the front page article was, nursing homes are sliding right off the face, and home care is going to take over all those clients. And it's called aging in place. People want to stay at home. Mm-hmm. Nobody in their right mind wants to go into a facility. Do I think home care and senior care is going to be more prevalent moving forward post-COVID? Absolutely it will be.
Yeah.
So I think there are any number of reasons to get into this business. I think the federal government is you can't look at 1 out of 5 people in the United States being 65 and over and not have the federal government throw money at it.
Right.
I guarantee you. Well, the federal government of the United States is going to throw a lot of money at senior care in the coming years.
Not to mention that some of the things I've read show that with seniors, home care improves outcomes. Post-hospitalization, it reduces costs, it reduces readmissions.
It reduces readmissions too, absolutely. Yeah. The public doesn't know it, but hospitals get dinged if you get readmitted into the hospital. They get dinged financially. So they have an incentive to keep the person at home safe and healing in their own environment. Absolutely they do.
Sure. So this is care. Do I need a medical background? Because I don't have one. I'm an old radio guy looking for a new opportunity.
No, Scott, you don't need a medical background. What I need coming from you is grit and determination. And that can come out of any industry. Sure. We have trained individuals out of totally disparate. I mean, the furniture industry, the banking industry, the real estate industry, the mortgage industry. We've trained stay-at-home moms that want to get back in the workforce. We've trained a molecular engineer that worked for the U.S. Navy. We've got one of everything under this. We've got a lot of nurses that we've put into business that have got nursing skills, which is great because you can't do this business without some form of nursing being involved.
Sure.
Because if you were to become a franchisee partner of ours, part of the requirement is that you have a nurse on staff.
Which is also part of it. It leads into the next question. The licensing and requirements that each of the states has. Too.
Well, yes. About 35 out of 50 states require home care licensure. Now, of those 35, I can guarantee each and every one of them is just a little bit different.
Sure.
That's part of our expertise. Myself and my vice president of nursing teach for the state of North Carolina's licensure division every other week. We're intimately familiar with the licensing process. Most states will require you to have a nurse on staff part-time. It's not a full-time job.
Sure.
But you're going to the state of North Carolina, if you're providing hands-on care to our clients, that employee has to be managed by an RN. Doesn't say full, doesn't say how much time they have to be on board. And if you're successful, and I think you will be successful, that nurse will grow into her hours.
Right.
It'll expand, and you'll get to the point. We've got clients that've got a nurse, they've got 2 or 3 nurses on staff nowadays.
Because of the volume of business they're dealing with.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, but do you personally, as the business owner, need to have a medical background? Absolutely not.
No. Okay.
Nope.
All right. Now, so we've got the licensing and regulations, and that's something you support people through because you've got the experience and you've done it, especially having taught it to other people.
And here's a surprising note on that. A lot of the existing franchisors out there, my competitors, don't support their franchisees in this endeavor, which just blows my mind. Why are you partnering up with somebody that's not going to support you initially right out of the gates?
Well, that's the next question.
We work with our partners step by step through the licensing process. We supply them the materials to get through the licensing process. If the state of Vermont says you need a policy and a procedure on this, that's not Scott Duncan's job to develop that policy and procedure. That is Gavin Dinsmore, actually Casey McDonough's, our VP of nursing. It's her job to develop that specific policy and procedure and then hand it off to Scott so he can get through the licensing process.
Well, and that sounds like part of the answer to my next question. Why? Because there are other franchisors in the senior, non-medical senior care. Why at home? Why at home elder care?
Well, I think first and foremost, I ran a home care agency for 20 years. 18 years before we got into franchising. We're not somebody that started a home care agency last year and said, I ought to be franchising this concept.
Right.
Well, myself and my staff have got over 45 years of direct senior care experience. So I think we bring experience to the table.
Sure.
I think we do bring a different style of doing business to the table. I've used the expression franchise partner. I want it to be a partnership, Scott.
Right. It's not here's your turnkey buy, have a nice life.
No. If you're not successful, I'm not going to be successful. We want a true partnership. Sure. A great example is that we just selected a technology platform for all the franchisees for the next 5 years. It's called SwiftOps. And it's world class. We had 4 franchisees on the vendor selection committee. I was the 5th person. I didn't get a vote in the matter.
Right.
But those 4 selected SwiftOps over the other 2 vendors that we considered 3 vendors altogether. The majority selected SwiftOps. Majority has spoken.
Yeah.
Gavin didn't have anything to say about it. My job is to drive the best possible deal for our franchisees. But at the end of the day, I don't want anybody ever coming back and saying, Gavin, you're getting a percent take or you're nickel and diming us. No.
Right.
The vendor selection committee gets to make the decisions. I'll sit on it. I'll kind of help co-manage it and keep it moving in the right direction. We got a great, terrific deal out of Swift Ops for our franchisees. Their first 4 months on the system are free.
Wow. That's exciting.
The first 3 years are capped at $300 a month. This is good stuff. All for the benefit of the franchise.
And that's another advantage to a franchise is the purchasing power too, right?
Absolutely, but most of the competitors out there have a technology fee.
Mm.
And it runs anywhere from $500 to over $1,000 a month. We're playing with that. And how can we eat the technology if you're the franchisee, or at least part of it?
Right.
Let's say that we're going to co-pay part of the technology for the franchisee.
Sure.
And I'm excited about that because that differentiates us. I think another thing that's going to differentiate us is that we've got the CNA training program that we're going to bring up. I did a competitive analysis of the whole senior care franchise market a couple of weeks ago. Everybody's doing home care. Everybody offers skilled nursing. Check mark. We can offer skilled nursing as well.
Sure.
Bang, bang, bang. But one thing that nobody else is offering is a CNA training program where we can grow our own employees. You got to do two things to be successful, Scott, if you partner with at-home Eldercare. You've got to recruit caregivers and aides.
Sure.
And you've got to sell. And you bring those two together and magic happens. But without one or the other, it doesn't work.
Right.
Well, there's not a community college in this country that is not churning out certified nursing assistants or nurse aides as fast as they possibly can. Mm. And the reason is that nurse aides, CNAs, nurse aides, whatever we want to call them, provide the majority of care in our industry.
Hospitals, nursing homes,
home care agencies, yes, we all pull from the same pool of employees.
Right.
But what if we could grow our own employees?
Promote from within.
Kind of, sort of.
Yeah.
North Carolina's requirement speed for a CNA training program would be 150 hours long and be taught by a registered nurse. Well, let's say that the CNA training program here in Raleigh, North Carolina pulls in 20 women for the month or 20 individuals. My nurse is going to spend 150 hours with each and every one of them. Do you think that my nurse is going to be able to come to me at the end of that training period and say, Gavin, you want to hire A, B, C, D, and E because, boy, these people are on the ball.
Right.
They're showing up early for class. They come prepared. They're staying awake. They're staying off from their phones. They're courteous. They're kind. Bang, bang. I mean, so now I'm going to cherry pick the top 5 out of the graduating class. We've just grown our own employees. The best part about it is there's federal and state money for those individuals to have the CNA training program paid for them through the state and the federal government.
No, I know. For example, now this may differ from state to state, but North Carolina, the workforce development folks, which is what they call the unemployment office in North Carolina, has a lot of funds to help you train people.
Absolutely. So we're going to tap that for the employees. The employees win. Best part is at-home Eldercare of Wake County wins because we just laid 5 new employees on us. That my nurse has spent 150 hours with.
Right.
I think that is, nobody else is doing that but us. My job, Scott, as the CEO and founder of the franchise, is to look into my crystal ball 5-10 years out and say, what's going to be an issue then?
Right.
Another fun one to look at is how is technology going to, and I don't want to get off your questions here, but I think I think technology is really going to be able to assist seniors in their homes moving forward. I've actually worked with and spoken with a gentleman up in Boston who's developing a robot. I don't think robots are going to replace the human touch, but I think that they can pick up some additional function
Right.
within the client's home if the client's comfortable with it. But yeah, I think there's some exciting things coming down the pike, but my job is to kind of look in the crystal ball and say, what is going to most impact Scott Duncan, not tomorrow, but 5 years from now.
10 years from now.
10 years from now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, let's move on to sort of a different avenue. So I've decided, yes, we're going to sign the papers. And
Flattered. Thank you very much.
there you go. So at this point, what are my costs going to be moving forward? You mentioned one already, $45,000 franchise fee. What else? So for the first year, what is this going to cost me?
Our franchise disclosure document reads that you can expect to spend between $66,000 and $111,000 in your first year. It's a pretty big margin or big spread, right?
Mm-hmm.
Scott, I'll be candid with you. I love frugality. I want you spending money when you need to spend it.
Right.
Great example. So of the $66,000, $45,000 of that is the franchise fee. Well, okay, now we're down to $21,000. How's that getting spent? Well, $8,000 is going to go towards your first year sales and marketing efforts.
Mm-hmm.
And I will help you spend it because I know where to bring in business and where to use that most effectively to get you clients.
Sure.
Insurance. Your first year insurance is going to cost you about $3,000. That's general liability and professional liability, along with theft coverage, bonding coverage. You're going to have about $2,000 in printing expense. You're going to need brochures, you're going to need business cards, you're going to need some signage, things like that.
Sure.
That's the $66,000. You bring me $66,000, I will put you in a business, I'll make you successful. Well, what about this $111,000? Well, Scott, if you need a steel case desk, if you need a Herman Miller chair, if you need a brand spanking new Apple computer versus a $400 refurbed Windows machine, if you need 1,200 square feet of office space that you think you can't do without to be successful, then the price is going to go up.
Sure.
I promise you this, Scott. I will never come into your agency to audit you and look at your filing cabinet and go, oh my God, Scott shouldn't be a franchisee. Because I can tell you, Scott, your filing cabinet is not going to earn you a penny.
Not $1.
There is zero return on investment. And I like having return on investment. I get excited about return on investment.
That's it. ROI is part of the deal.
ROI. You are not, your filing cabinet, your furniture, nobody's ever going to judge you. CEO, founder of the company, my word today is I will not judge you on your office furniture. Because, and this is another point, and this is another differentiator for us, we'll allow you to run this out of your home. Right now, the paperwork says we'll allow you to run it out of your home for 6 months. Because that is 6 months worth of rent that you can be either A, putting towards sales and marketing, B, paying your employees just a little bit more to buy some employee loyalty,
Sure.
or C, keeping in Scott Duncan's back pocket.
Buying my kids a cheeseburger once in a while.
Get them a pizza. It's Friday. Get them a pizza on Friday. Your office is never going to make you a penny.
Right.
Zero return on investment for your office. I'm toying with the idea. Our FDD says you can rent it out of your home for 6 months. I'm toying with the idea of just eliminating that and saying, if you want to rent it from your home, if you can do that, do it.
Right. As long as it's legal and
Because
zoning and whatever. Yeah.
My home care agency, At Home Eldercare of Wake County, we're spending $1,000 a month just on rent alone. You throw utilities on top of that, we're up to $1,250. That's close to $15,000 a year post-tax Pre-tax, it's more like $18,000 a year. Again, is that $18,000 that you can spend on marketing, spend on your employees, keep in your own back pocket? Absolutely it is.
Yeah.
So I feel pretty strongly that I'd rather see you come in at the $66,000 level than the $110,000 level.
So we've talked about what I'm going to spend. Let's talk about, and I know you can't say specifically what I'm going to make, because that's
I
dependent
cannot make earning claims. That's right.
But do you have some ideas on revenue expectations?
I'll tell you what the Wall Street Journal article said. It was June of 2019 they published it. The average home care client is 30 hours a week. The average client you will hold on to for 3.5 years. Make sure I'm doing my math right here. Yeah, about 3.5. Women you'll hold on to a little longer than men. Women tend to outlive men. And so
female life expectancy is longer than male life expectancy.
Yeah.
Okay.
But so, ballpark. 30 hours a week, you're going to hold on to the client for an average of 3 years. There you go. How much you charge and how much you pay. I just read in today's Wall Street Journal that Costco is taking all their employees up to $16 an hour starting this week. I don't think it's going to be very long before there is a nationwide minimum wage of $15 an hour.
And taking Raleigh or Wake County as an example, one of the local hospital chains here went up to $15 an hour.
Wake Med, Rex, and Duke all agreed that they would not start their CNAs at less than $15 an hour. So I don't think it's going to take very long for that to ripple through the economy.
Yeah.
Right now, we're hiring employees about $12.50 or $13 an hour. So let's say it's $13 an hour. We're in charge of $28 an hour for our services. That leaves about a $15 delta. Now we got overhead, and I've always budgeted 20 to 25% for overhead.
Right.
Office, insurance, marketing expense, the cost of your nurse, all these things.
Gloves and pens and pencils and post-it notes and whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so if we're charging $28 and we're paying out $16 loaded cost on the employee, that's still a $12 an hour delta that goes towards your bottom line.
Sure.
Now you start doing the average client is 30 hours a week. You can hold on to them for 3 years. That's a part of the reason I love this business, Scott, is it is a 3-year annuity.
Yeah.
Every week we're invoicing them, or every 2 weeks we're invoicing them for X number of hours of care. Oh, excuse me. It's not COVID. I just tested negative a couple of weeks ago. So you do the math on it, and our FDD reads that you'll have 8 clients the first year. The second year, you'll have 16 clients. The third year, you'll have 24 clients. So you're adding 8 clients each year.
Right.
Competitive analysis. Come back to that competitive analysis that I did. Of all of the competitors I looked at, and in their FD, we are an emerging brand. So our FDD, franchise disclosure document, looks a little bit different than an established franchisors does. Because in the FDD, there's something called item 19. And it's, how much do your franchisees make? What are the averages? It looks like in the industry, across 20 different franchisor senior care brands, looks like the average agency is doing about $800,000 in sales a year. $750,000, $800,000. I would hope that would be, 2-3 years into it.
Right.
Yeah, they don't publish that information. But if the average home care agency is doing $800,000 across the whole spectrum, 800,000. And boy, if we're, I would like to see my Z's, my franchise partners doing 25%, between 20 and 30% net, offer me 800,000. In the worst case, let's say it's 10%. Well, that's $80,000 a year. That's pretty good money. And 20% is 160. 30% is 240,000. If you look at the industry averages, it's a good business to be in. I think it's a great business to be in.
Sure, with nothing but demand growth and the sky's the limit if you really work.
Yeah, I mean, so if we're helping you get employees and grow your own employees, and literally it's an untapped potential, 1 out of 5 individuals are going to be 65 and over by 2025. You got the clients, you got the employees. Follow our model and we'll make you successful in this business.
Well, let's talk about that. So model leads to your training and your support system. So talk about that process.
Well, fortunately, over the past 14 years, even though we are an emerging brand and we're pretty new at franchising, we've been making people successful in this business for a very long time, Scott. For 14 years, my sister company, Home Care Seminar, has done the training for the state of North Carolina. Well, through that, we had 90 individuals from across the country approach us and say, hey, can you put us in business? Absolutely. So we came up with a 5-day training through Home Care Seminars. They came into Raleigh. We trained them up for 5 days. We sent them back. Then we supported them as their business was starting up and growing. And we did that with weekly Skypes. Back then, dating myself here, back then it was Skype.
Yeah, right.
Today, it's all Zoom.
Yeah, Teams or Zooms or Google meetings or, yeah.
You want to talk about the stock that we should have bought into?
Yeah.
We should have bought Zoom.
Yeah.
We were doing Skype back in the bad old days. But what we do is we have 5 days of training up front. I'm going to spend 40 hours with you. You are going to become part of the family, Scott. I'm going to get to know you. I'm going to get to know your family. You're going to get to know my family. You literally become part of the family. At the end of the week, we're going to send you back to Pittsburgh. Then the following week, we're going to get on a Zoom, or we're going to get on a Skype for an hour and 15, hour and 20 minutes every week.
Right.
You're going to leave here with a punch list, chronologically listed out punch list of what you and I need to be doing in every step of the way. And we're going to work through that list. And we're going to get you into business. And those Skype and Zoom meetings are going to go for the first year. 52 weeks. At the end of the first year, you will have had clients already. You will have had employees already. We're going to come in, we're going to come up and see you in Pittsburgh, and we're going to spend 3 to 5 days with you on site at your office. What are we going to do for 3 to 5 days? Well, we're going to go through sales and marketing with a fine-tooth comb. We're going to go through HR recruiting with a fine-tooth comb, and we're going to tweak it. Well, this has worked, this hasn't worked. Let's try this and this and this.
Sure.
We're going to look at your charts. We're going to do some chart audits. My nurse is going to talk to your nurse. We're going to make sure that your chart audits and your client charts and your employee charts look like they should. We'll probably spend time talking about technology. How's the tech platform working for you? Where do you need help? Where do you not? So the first year, total of 10 days in-person training, plus 52 weeks of Skype. That initial $45,000 investment, well, now we're looking at $4,500 a day to put you in business, which is super duper inexpensive.
Sure.
Then you factor in the 52 hours, 55 hours, 60 hours over the course of the year of the Skypes or the Zooms, and that $4,500 drops down dramatically. It's a great way. I think it's a very cost affordable way of getting into business and supporting you and making you successful. Because the whole idea of that first year is to get you on the ground. Your first couple of months, you hit the ground running, and we're there to support you.
And part of it too is helping them develop web presence, helping them work on marketing techniques.
Helping you.
Yeah.
Them. Well, them and yes, and everyone else. Yeah.
Sure.
But helping on a web presence, well, we have a media firm, multimedia firm that we work with. They're responsible for marketing. They're responsible for press releases. They're responsible for getting your LinkedIn page up and running. You may not, Scott, I don't know if you do LinkedIn or if you do Facebook. I personally do not do Facebook. I think they are the devil. I do LinkedIn. So the media company does all the Facebook for me. I don't want to get anywhere near Facebook.
Sure.
They do my LinkedIn. I go in and check my LinkedIn and try and keep it updated, but from a professional perspective, they're
The company page.
the company page, landing page, absolutely. Web development, got the website, all that is on the media company. And they do an awesome job for us, so I'm tickled with them.
So let's talk about that process, though. Beyond the training and support, which sounds industry leading, the rest of the process start from square one. You and I have already kind of had conversations about and gotten to know each other on a personal basis.
Yeah.
But there is a process, and part of that process is determining you're a good fit. Take it from there.
I think the best thing to be said about that, any business partner, Scott, whether you're buying a franchise or you're investing in a home or with a realtor or you're buying a car or you go to work for anybody, does your business partner do what they say they're going to do when they say they're going to do it? It's as simple as that.
Right.
There's not, I'm sure there are multiple yardsticks in this world that we can measure individuals against, but when I first talk, and I love talking to potential business owners, whether it's, ideally at-home eldercare franchise prospects, but if you want to talk to me about starting a business, I'll talk to you all day long about it, because that's my wheelhouse and I love that.
Sure.
So we're going to start off with a phone call, and it's kind of a, hi, I'm Gavin Densmore, and hello, you're Scott Duncan, and I'm in Raleigh, North Carolina, and you're in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. This is the industry. This is who we are. This is my background. You're going to share a little bit about your background at the end of that call. And if it's a good call, it's going to go probably an hour and a half.
Right.
I've done this for 14 years. If it's 5 minutes, then either I blew it or they weren't interested.
Right.
It's a good call. Hour and a half into it, we're going to wrap it up and we can say, Scott, I'm going to send you a franchise questionnaire. And I want you to tell me a little bit more about Scott. It's not so much that I haven't discovered that information in our initial phone call, but it's just more so a test to find out if you can get it back to me.
Sure.
Now, if you...
Going back to that whole concept of do they follow through?
If you were Johnny on the spot, I've had folks give me that sucker back the same day. But if I haven't heard from you, and I'm not going to chase you.
All right.
I mean, if you want to become a partner of mine and we've had a great conversation, then you need to do your homework. You need to give me that questionnaire back. The sooner you get it back, the higher the interest you have.
Right.
And it makes for a great foundation for a second follow-up question. At that point, we're going to start digging into Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and what kind of a territory can you look at? Our territory is between 20 and 23,000 seniors 65 and over.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be your exclusive territory that we're going to make you successful in. But not all of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania is created equally. So we want to focus in, laser focus in on the area of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania that's going to be most lucrative and most successful for Scott Duncan. And that's where my expertise and my team's expertise comes into play. So we're going to talk about that. And again, gauging your interest, and your responsiveness to that is going to help me understand how good of a partner you might be. Then I'm going to send you, the next step is I'm going to send you a franchise disclosure document. This is a big legal contract. My attorneys put it together, and the Federal Trade Commission of the U.S. government says we have to have an FDD, and we have to share it with our franchise partner prospects. I'm going to email that to you. The last page of that document, Scott, is a receipt that just shows that you received it from me.
Sure.
It doesn't mean you're buying a franchise, doesn't mean I'm awarding you a franchise. It just means, yes, I got this document Gavin sent me on February 25th, 2021.
Sure.
Give me that receipt back. I will hound you for that, because if you're just chomping at the bit to become a franchise partner with us, I can't sell you a franchise until 2 weeks have gone by when you sign that receipt.
So 2 weeks after the receipt, that's
kind of a 2 week quiet period
Sure.
where you can't buy it and no money can change hands. That's fine. I've never seen somebody, I've not been there yet. Maybe I will be in the future. But you sign the receipt, you get it back. And then I like to make first passes on all the contracts myself. I have a sales and marketing background. I've got a petroleum engineering background.
Sure.
What I don't have is a legal contract background. But I think, you can make the first pass and you can read through it.
And
maybe
part of that process, though, has got to be on my end, getting my lawyer to look at things too.
You have an obligation to yourself that if you don't understand the contract, you get some help with it.
Mm-hmm.
And in this case, find a franchise law attorney. You don't want to hire a family law / divorce attorney to have them look at
So don't go to the strip mall and find the lawyer.
No, and no more so than you want to hire a franchise attorney to represent you in the divorce.
Right.
There are attorneys that specialize in franchise. Go get yourself one.
Sure.
Have them read through it. My suggestion is have them do it at a flat fixed fee. I do not want them seeing Scott Duncan or any other franchise partner walk through the door and just see the cash register cha-ching, 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 and they're at the back of their mind. You know what? I've got attorneys that I'm happy to put you in touch with that will do it for a flat $1,000.
Sure.
And I think that's a steal. And if you don't want to use mine, you can use that to leverage your attorney and say, Bill, boy, I like what you're saying, but, Gavin's got Shana down in Austin, Texas. She'll review this for a flat $1,000.
So you get some bargaining power there.
You got some bargaining power there.
Sure. Well, so we had our lawyers look at it. The quiet period's done. That's when we sign.
Pretty much, yeah. Today's Discovery Day. Later on, you're going to be meeting my team. They're going to be looking at all 10 of your digits and making sure you got 5 on each appendage.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to be looking at their appendages and making sure they got 5 on each one. Once you go back and you've thought this over and we've thought it over, then yeah, I'm comfortable saying in my heart, Scott, I would be comfortable awarding you a franchise for Pittsburgh right now. But you want to meet the rest of the team, and I'm sure you've got questions for the nurse and for the HR, and so we'll get you squared away. But that would be the next step is, yes, that you would sign the franchise disclosure document, and
that's when we move into the training and the support and the building the business.
Are you going to write a check or are you going to wire transfer $45,000 to us? And at that point, we're going to schedule your training in. And we offer trainings pretty much every other week. And there is, and I'm going to back up a little bit because you asked why at-home Eldercare. And I totally forgot one other thing that totally impacts this. Late last year, we partnered with an outfit called Loyalty Brands. And Loyalty Brands is an umbrella of a whole bunch of different franchises. And they are a competitive advantage in two regards. One, the cross-marketing opportunities within loyalty brands. An example is they have a franchise called Zoom and Grooming. It's a mobile pet grooming outfit, right? Well, and I'm thinking specifically of my mother, who's 81 years old, does not get around, should not be driving, and she has Dinah, the dog.
Okay.
Dinah, the dog, needs to be groomed. Mom can't get out, but I can say, hey, Mom, you need to call Zoom and groom it.
So there's cross-marketing opportunities.
Oh, the cross-marketing opportunities are off the charts. From a new client perspective, from a new employee perspective. They're partnering up with ATAX. Well, ATAX is a tax service, like Liberty, I think we all know Liberty Taxes. HR Block. Well, those folks are only busy about 3 months out of the year.
Right.
Well, what do they do in the other 9 months? Well, you can come to work for me as a caregiver. You can come to work for me as a CNA. Some of those folks are going to, some of their clients are going to need in-home care. So I think that cross-marketing is off the charts.
Sure.
And that's something that candidly nobody else does. The other advantage, we're learning so much from a franchise perspective from loyalty brands. I know senior care.
Sure.
The founder of loyalty brands is a guy by the name of John Hewitt. John Hewitt has been involved in the development of 5,000 franchises over the past 30 years.
So he's got a little bit of experience.
What I think John knows about franchising, I know about senior care. And so what we're doing is we're bringing the best of both worlds together. We're bringing John Hewitt and loyalty brands to the table from a franchise development perspective. And we're bringing at-home eldercare to the table from a training and a support and a success perspective. And I think when we bring those two together, I think it's going to be, I think the future is on my vision, my personal vision is there will be 2,500 at-home eldercare locations across the country within 10 years. It's a tall order, but you know what? My partner, John Hewitt, has put 5,000 franchises on the map.
So not undoable.
Not ambitious, yes. Undoable? No. Not undoable. No, we can do it.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, so this is, let's run down sort of the most important thing is fit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's got to be a good fit. I mean, it's like dating, Scott. We're both guys. We've both been on dates before when we were dating our wives, spouses. If that first date is just a train wreck, what makes you think the second or third or fourth date are going to be any better than the train wreck? It's probably not going to get better. But you know what? If the first date goes great, then you kind of have an expectation the second or third date are going to go great too.
Sure. And it sounds like the company culture is something that welcomes folks who are ready to work and have the grit and have the determination and just want to take care of some older folks.
I think the company culture is, boy, and this is a totally off the cuff question that I'm not giving a great deal of thought to. I think I started at-home eldercare because I'd never run a franchise before and I wanted a new challenge.
Sure.
And someone I respect immensely is my father. When I said, Pop, we got this new venture going. I'm 56 years old. How, we just partnered up with loyalty brands. How long would you do it for? Till you punch your ticket. And my dad's answer was, I would do it as long as it is still fun. When it stops being fun, Scott, that's when you ought to get out.
Absolutely.
And that's great advice for any job.
Yeah.
Whether it's you're owning the business, or you're working for somebody else, you're working for somebody else. When your job stops being fun, you need to go find something else because life is too short. So our culture is we want to have fun. We want to provide the best home care in the world, bar none.
Hmm.
I did it when I owned my agency here in Raleigh for the past 18 years, and we're going to do it again. We will not cut corners on quality. We provide the best home care, period.
Sure.
But fun, quality care, making our franchise partners, making their employees successful, supporting them. And don't take anything in life too seriously. Life is. I want you to take your job seriously. I want you to take care of our clients seriously, but do it in a lighthearted manner. Don't take yourself too seriously.
Well, all right. So finally, the bottom line. It requires, because this is what the company offers, the heart of a servant.
I think, I think our ideal candidate would have personal experience when it comes to senior care. I think most of our demographic of the individuals that we're looking at as franchise partners today, you can't be 40 and not have some kind of senior.
So it could even be personal experience.
You can't have senior care not having touched your life already by the time you're 40 in today's world.
Absolutely, because in my personal situation, I've had to deal with having to get care for an elderly parent, one with a chronic condition.
I've got 2 aging parents myself. I know it. My mom lives locally with me. I'm her caregiver. I'm her go-to caregiver. Like I said, if you're over the age of 40, chances are you've been touched by senior care already in your life.
That sandwich generation.
The sandwich generation. I have a 10-year-old that is plugged into a lot of activities, and I got an 81-year-old mother and an 84-year-old father. Yeah, I think I'm stuck in the middle. And that's fine. I'm pretty proud of myself to be able to multitask. Don't know how well I do at it, but I get everybody taken care of. But yeah, I mean, you're getting pulled in a lot of different directions. And on the young end, I can hire an au pair for my daughter. On the senior end, I can hire somebody to come in and help mom and dad. And I will.
Yeah.
Because as much as I love my mom, I'm not a caregiver. There is about 99% of all the caregivers in the world are female. And I'm just sharing my personal opinion with you, but I think the reason for that is women are more empathetic than men. I think they're more patient than men are.
Well, if you talk to my wife, she'd probably agree with you. She has to be far more patient with me than I am with her. But
I talked to my significant other. I see it as well.
Yeah.
There will come a point in time where my mom and dad, and the benefit is I own a senior care agency, so mom's going to get it at a cost probably. I mean,
right.
We'll handpick mom's team, but Pop's a wild card.
Yeah.
I mean, my brother is in Lexington, Kentucky. I'm in North Carolina, Dad's in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and he's not going into a facility.
Yeah.
So
home care is it.
Well, and even home care, Dad is not I don't know if home care is right for. I think Pop had better hope to go out like his mom did.
Right.
My grandmother died, and she went to bed one. In fact, everybody ought to hope for this. This is kind of morbid to put on video, but the way that we all want to go out, Scott, is you go to bed at night, you have a massive stroke, and you just never wake up. There's no pain, there's no cancer eating away at your body, your family doesn't see you, just...
Absolutely. We hope it's all a peaceful end for all of us, but the reality is and more every day, folks are needing somebody to come in and just give them a little help, and that's where the market is.
People are living longer.
Yeah, absolutely. Medical advances and just...
In the 1500s, you might have lived to 43 years old and you died.
Yeah.
Today, you're living into your 70s, your 80s, your 90s. Plenty of folks in their hundreds these days. Medical technology has made it easier for people to live longer, which is great, But here's the simple fact is, once you reach a certain point, it's called the continuum. There's a technical term for it. It's called the continuum of care. 0 to 18, we're raising our babies. We're getting them through school. They're living at home with us. We're trying to make them successful, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's our parent. As a parent, that's our job. 18, they go off to college, they graduate college, or they go find a job, and they move out on their own. And so from 18, 19, 20 to 65, 70, 72, they're on their own, right? They are living independently, which is every good parent's goal.
Right.
Well, at the back end of that, at 72, 65, 72 onward, things start slowing down. It's tougher and tougher and tougher to do things. That's our niche market. That's where we're going to help folks out at. And
Excellent.
There are plenty of people that will live independently, like my father, up until the day that he dies.
Yeah.
And there are some folks that just simply need more help.
Absolutely. Well, we're at the end of our time, and I just want to say thank you, and I look forward to continuing and finishing this process.
Well, Scott, I'm excited to have you on board. I'm excited to make you a success in senior care. It is a great business. It's going to be a great business for the next 25 years. And you and I being the same age, you better come up with an extra exit strategy and 15 years downstream. Maybe the kids get it. The need is still going to be there. Grow the business for the babies and sell it to them.
There you go.
Scott, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I will get you lined up with other folks in our office, and we'll let you continue with them. Our Vice President of Nursing and the other folks on the team, we want you to meet them and be able to ask your questions to them too.
Very good. Thank you.